President Biden wants Americans certainly to trust the government as well. But the government's kind of botched the job on multiple occasions in the past, and you start to look at the numbers, and the first thing in the polling that comes to some people's minds is the lack of preparedness during Hurricane Katrina in 2005, or maybe just a couple of months ago, the outdoor warning signs in Hawaii that never went off before the wildfire there. So you look at a track record like that, and it leads to disheartening numbers like this. New survey out. 71% of Americans have no faith the U.S. government can prevent a doomsday event. Now, how do those surveyed think this doomsday event might arrive? A climate change related event, a second pandemic, or a third world war. A few of them even believe it could come in the form of an alien invasion or a zombie outbreak. We've promised now that NewsNation senior political contributor George Will not be asked about either an alien invasion or a zombie outbreak, but we're very, very happy to have him on this program for the first time. Thank you, sir, for coming on. What do you make of the fact that, 7 out of 10 people basically don't trust the government to handle things if it gets out of control?
Well, the 71% is interesting because in the early 1960s, about 71% of Americans expressed great confidence that the government would do the right thing almost all the time. What's happened since then? Well, immediately by the mid-1960s, with the Great Society and the explosive growth of government, government's pretensions expanded and its prestige fell because the government expanded beyond its competence in the view of many Americans. So I think the real takeaway from this is that if government were a little more economical about expending its energies and its pretensions to mastery, it would master a larger percentage of the undertakings it has, and people would think higher of it.
Can we get back to those good old days, so to speak? And if so, how would we reverse course on all this?
Well, I think we'd reverse course by saying there are some things that the federal government can't do. There are some things that state governments do better. There are some things that no governments can do. That we have to understand that some of our problems are problems of very bad choices by us. If I could go back for a moment to apocalypse, I think Americans are suffering on apocalypse fatigue, but I noticed in this survey you were quoting from, 6% of Americans say the end of the world might come from a food shortage. Now, Americans have a food-related problem, and it is that 1 in 4 Americans are obese. Now, try and square that circle for me, would you? Americans, a nation with a huge obesity epidemic, worrying about a food shortage. I think some of these surveys are synthetic.
I was wondering what word you were going to pick out there after the pause, and we'll go with synthetic. I think I agree with you on a lot of surveys in general with that.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.